The Dark Knight trilogy, directed by Christopher Nolan, has been lauded for its depiction of the famous comic book superhero, Batman. Nolan's realistic and grounded vision for the character was widely embraced, but one facet of his movies that was quite polarizing was his depiction of action scenes. What we're going to explore is how and why Christopher Nolan decided to edit action scenes the way he did in his Dark Knight trilogy, specifically the first movie, Batman Begins. Batman Begins was largely a character exploration, diving deep into the motivations of why someone like Bruce Wayne would become the crime-fighting superhero Batman, and the emotional struggles he had to overcome through the course of the film. We will first consider the scene near the beginning of the movie, where Bruce trains with Ra's al Ghul on the ice field. The first thing we notice, in stark contrast with some of the other action scenes we'll explore, is how well lit the scene is. They are training in broad daylight, making everything very clear and apparent to the viewer. Nolan also includes a plentiful amount of wide shots, giving the audience a clear view of what is happening in the scene. This scene is actually quite fluid. There are minimal cuts between hits, and every strike and block is clearly visible. The music plays a prominent part in this scene as well, acting as a sort of guide for the emotions at play. It initially takes a back seat as the characters talk, but once Ra's al Ghul mentions Bruce's father,
"It was your father's,"
we begin to see Bruce's emotions and anger seep through, and the music begins to fill the scene and dominate the soundscape. Nolan does this to show that this isn't just a normal training montage, it's an emotional exploration of Bruce as he tries to find his path. With this choice of shots and cuts, we can clearly see that Bruce is the pupil and Ra's is the master. Nolan's editing makes it immediately apparent to the viewer that Bruce isn't Batman yet. He's just a man in training, and he's slow and imprecise. If you notice carefully, anytime there's even a semblance of rapid cuts between hits, it is always Ra's al Ghul who's attacking. All of Bruce's moves are edited much slower and more relaxed. Nolan edited this scene for one purpose, to show that Bruce, while talented,
"You haven't beaten me. You have sacrificed sure footing for a killing stroke,"
is still just a man. And then we have this scene, the introduction of the Batman. Immediately, we notice a stark shift in tone. It's dark and silent, befitting for the character. The first time we see the Batman on screen is when he pulls away a thug unloading from the truck. We then notice another stark contrast from the first action set piece, the music, or more precisely, the lack thereof.
Nice.
When we do get some soundscape, it's always in short, loud bursts, followed by a tease of the character's main soundtrack, almost resembling the flapping of a bat's wings.
What?
The way this scene is edited almost feels like a horror movie, filled with eerie silence and large bursts of sound to initiate what some may call jump scares. And Nolan does this purposefully, to immerse the viewer in the scene with the other criminals, terrified by what's happening. Because Bruce is no longer just a man, he's a creature to the criminals. He's the Batman.
Where are you?
"Here."
Once we finally see Batman engage with the criminals, the action itself is again edited very differently from the training scene. It's cut quickly and jarringly. Even the sound effects are jarring and abrupt. We can barely see Batman move, yet we hear the criminals screaming in pain. The action is edited to convey how quick and precise Batman is compared to the other criminals. The following is a frame-by-frame view of what we're shown. Even then, it is hard to see Batman's movements. Nolan does this to show that this isn't a man in a costume. It's a force of nature.
How are you?
"I'm Batman." "Nice coat."
Thanks.
Now, let's consider the final battle between Batman and Ra's al Ghul. This again takes place in the dark. However, the actual fight scene takes place in a lit subway car. One could just say it's a matter of circumstance, but this could also be purposeful to ensure that the viewer can clearly see the fight. At this point in the story, Batman and Ra's al Ghul are equal in terms of their prowess, and Nolan edits the scene to show that. Now, both characters' movements are edited quickly to highlight the speed and precision of both fighters. The fight is blow for blow, kick for kick, with very little breathing room in between shots. Even the soundscape is cluttered with hits and blocks. Nolan does this to depict how intense and evenly matched both Batman and Ra's al Ghul are. The music again acts as a guide for the scene, matching the intensity of the fight at hand.
Don't be afraid, Bruce. You are just an ordinary.
Nolan isn't trying to depict Batman as a creature anymore. In this scene, Bruce is facing his old master. He has conquered his fears as Bruce Wayne, and is now fighting Ra's as Batman, the protector of Gotham. The movie itself was an emotional journey, and Nolan constructs this final action set piece to show the viewers that this journey has finally come to its climax. Christopher Nolan edits action scenes with a purpose to drive the story. In Batman Begins, the way action scenes were edited changed drastically through the course of the film, reflecting Bruce Wayne's own emotional journey throughout the film. While many may have been irked by some of the stylistic choices in the action, it is evident that these choices helped drive the movie as a whole and further strengthen the character exploration Nolan was trying to achieve.